The 2022 Honda Civic is upon us, and in this video I want to talk about what a lot of people might consider a insignificant car, which is actually a really important car in the whole world. I hope you enjoy this video. I'm Cars with Ben. Before I discuss the 2022 Honda Civic, and I think it's a really important car, let's discuss some of the previous models that have come out through the UK, Europe, America and Japan. And the reason why I wanted to delve into this one, which will lead straight up to that, and hopefully you'll get a good insight of the car, and you can understand why this car is actually more important than you might think. I know this might seem a bit odd, but it's actually a pretty important car, so it has to go well, I think, for the next generation. So as you've seen with the new general model, it does look excellent, and I think it's going to be an excellent car, but some people have their doubts. Let's start with a quick history lesson back to the 1970s when the original Honda Civic was released. It actually was a small hatchback, maybe even super mini, and I think it looked excellent, pretty much a classic right now in today's world. And this evolved over the years in Japan and became a very popular car in America, Europe, pretty much the whole world. It was sold everywhere that you can think of, and it adapted into its Type R versions, which I love, by the way. A lot of people start to modify them, become quite an important JDM car. As you can see here, this was the sort of people we think about when we think about the Honda Civic, but it's actually not the case. It's a bit of a hooligan's car for the most part, but also it can be an enthusiast car, and what I love about it is it does have that reputation, but it also can be very understated, much like the American versions. As you see, this version here, which was the European version, went a bit tame over the last 10 years, and then it got a little bit better. And I think the car is now to a stage where we've had it for almost 50 years, so it's really important that this next one makes a huge impression. So onto the car then, what's all the fuss about? In this video I want to talk about the whole Honda Civic and the 2022 generation, what it's going to turn into and what it means for a lot of people. Now this is one of the world's most popular, best-selling family cars, so it is really important, and even though a lot of people might consider this to be a very insignificant car, like I said, it's celebrating 50 years of production. So when I wanted to make this video, I really wanted to target a lot of the people who might buy this car, and also what they're going to think of it for the pretty much everyday person, but also as car enthusiasts, we want to know what the Type R is going to look like, and whether it's going to be any good. I think getting started that For starters, I want to talk about the price because that's always important. And as with most cars, new cars these days, it is a £25,000 to £30,000 rising for a higher spec, depending on your options. And that's pretty standard for a Honda Civic, I think, really now. But they used to be a little bit cheaper, probably more at the £20,000. So they have gone up from what they used to be, which was a small little hatchback or super mini. As you can see, the car here in its price form will be around that spec, so it is still yet to be confirmed for the autumn of this year when it goes on sale. For the car itself, which is probably very important in terms of its engine and going forward into the future, it is going to have two electric motors paired with a 2-litre non-turbo petrol engine. So effectively a hybrid sort of engine system where it will sort of have that ability to be a fun car, but also be a bit more sensible. And I think that's going to be great for people who want a more sensible car, because the Honda Civic is exactly that. It's what it's supposed to be. In terms of whether it's going to be sort of an everyday car, well, I think that's going to be the case because they always have been. I do think the styling has changed quite significantly from its original days, where it's pretty much now a 4-door. And in Europe, at least, this car is going to have some pretty big competitors for what it is, given it's going to go up against cars like the Ford Focus, the Volkswagen Golf, and the new Astra, which are all pretty much going electric or hybrid anyway, so it's really important that it does have that. The car's going to be pretty technologically advanced as well, with some autonomous driving aids, which I think is really good and important for going forward, but it's also going to have some improved steering and stiffer suspension, which, again, should complement it nicely for a driving experience. Now, I've seen a lot of people talk about the looks of this car specifically, and that's usually the first thing that people go off, and I didn't really like it. It's a mix of different cars, and I have to agree, the looks for me don't really do it. But this is where I wanted to talk about the Type R. The Type R, if you're not a car fanatic, is a special sports class or racing version of the cars that it's made, so it's pretty special versions, usually Civics or NSX maybe, and obviously, one thing I wanted to note with the Type R is that it has to be pretty good because it's going up against GR, Toyota, which have released some pretty cool cars such as the Corolla this year, and they are sort of the more competitors, I would say. But away from that, given that it might be pretty much a standard car for every other person, it's going to be a pretty economical car given its hybrid engine. It's going to be really, really practical with its 4 doors, 478-litre boot space to be precise, and it's going to have pretty much a new look and style with its horizontal dashboard design. So the car is going to be brand new. The car should be released before the end of 2022, along with the Type R being released not long after. And with that, the car is going to be pretty important because it's going to be a car that we're going to start seeing a lot more of. And because it's a predecessor to all of the cars that it's come before in 50 years, as well as its competitors, this car is going to set the scene to be pretty important on the road, and whether it's going to be any good remains to be seen by the reviewers. But so far, it looks like it's going to be promising. Just a shame about some of the looks, I think, personally. But it will be a pretty big car this year, so keep an eye out for this, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm Cars with Ben.